Welcome to the City of London, the Bank of England. Nothing says old money more or establishment. But what do you do if you want to create a new brand, a standout brand, a brand that lets anybody invest their money? That's what Moneyfarm wanted to do, and they turned to the team. So we caught up with our client, Ilona Sedhia, to find out how that happened.
Hello, Ilona. Welcome to the team.
Hi, Sally. Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you again. So we just wanted to take a trip down memory lane today to remember our Moneyfarm campaign. Can you remember what was behind the campaign and what sort of made you kind of create the brief in the first place?
Yeah, well, Moneyfarm were still are a huge brand in Italy, but in the UK, they were virtually unknown and they really didn't have much of a presence. So my job was to basically say, well, Moneyfarm is here. And despite them being in the UK for over 5 years, nobody quite cared. So our job was to make people care. It was during the pandemic. It just sort of started. Remember that? So it was all this feeling of uncertainty and trying to make people maybe forget about the concerns around the pandemic and actually offer something more long-term, thinking about their well-being, not just health, but financial well-being, just setting them up for life. And I thought for Moneyfarm, that was an opportunity to actually have a voice. And instead of just talking about money and investing and finance and being quite hardcore, the pandemic offered a chance to differentiate as a brand and actually show some human side.
It was a brilliant brief. And I really remember part of the brief that stood out was the application of high impact motivators to really understand what's driving the target audience. Now, you've got a big dose of behavioural science. Your master's is in behavioural science, isn't it? Did that really help influence what went into the brief as well? Were you able to sort of realise some of that in the brief?
I think so, because as I grew in my marketing career, you were kind of learning the models that were still fairly old-fashioned now that I realise that it's very demographic based and the world is still catching up with that. And some media is booked precisely, well, if you want to target 50-year-old men, this is where you go and this is what you do. But the world doesn't work this way. So high impact motivators is a framework that just effectively deletes the demographic data from the equation completely, because two people with the same age, they have family, they have a dog, they live in the same neighborhood, they will be very different how they feel, what their life goals are. And high impact motivators actually allow you to move beyond the typical demographics and into the realm of what do I want to be like as a human? What matters to me? Is it kind of personal growth? Is it community? Or am I ambitious, driven person, quite sort of feeling like I'm a loner and that's okay? And that's okay. But, the people are different. And that's where I thought it was important to create an ad that was for everyone, regardless of your age, status, gender. That was another big thing for Moneyfarm, because one of the issues was that investing is very male-dominated and advertising reflects that. And we kind of wanted to move away from that and offer that diversity. And high-impact motivators allowed us to do that, because it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. If you value the same things we value, and we showcase that as a brand, and that was empathy and caring for your financial well-being, whatever your goals are, doesn't matter. And that reflected in the campaign in the end, I hope.
It did. So we found an illustrator called Moser Chimosa in the end. I think it was Moser Chimosa, if I made that up. And I think he was wonderful, because he still managed to capture that right sentiment. And obviously the messaging is just as important as, the sort of the illustrations and the visual style as well. And we ended up with the sort of see more than money as the line. Which works so well, because we're talking about return, but we're also talking about the ambition, what money is, what your return on your investment is giving you as well. It was just a lovely line that just gave you a really good platform to create a really distinctive campaign, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to reuse it one day. It's so good.
Yeah. I think it's very flexible, so it's not running at the moment, I don't think. Ilona, how did you feel when you first saw the TV ad on TV? Can you remember?
It's weird, right? Because by that point, you've seen the ad 100 times in various stages of development. but it's also always like on smaller screen and with headphones on. So actually it was the first time seeing it like properly big, and then you realize how big that hammock is. But also the first time hearing the actual sound, like how it sounds on TV for people, and you kind of start like, oh my God, so this is what actually people are going to see. And it was all very different, isn't it? It's kind of, but by that point I thought I'd experienced kind of like more pride of like sense of like, we've done it. But then actually the moment you see it, it'd be like, oh, there's still 2 months to go, and how is it going to do? So actually all these questions start appearing. So it kind of never stops. You never just stop, say, wow, we've done an amazing job, and you kind of just, enjoy a glass of champagne. It's kind of like, okay, now it's live. Oh my God, what's next? What to do? And I wish like I stopped more and actually enjoyed that moment, because it doesn't come very often where you really enjoyed working on something and you're really happy with the final result, and just observe. And we need to take that moment, don't we?
Yeah.
Like, and we never do. And
this is our moment. Cheers. Yes.
I wish this was
well
champagne.
done. It was a great one. And do you remember when we were creating the ad as well? We don't make life easy for ourselves. So not only did we, using an illustration style for the TV ad, really, I mean, how challenging was that? And do you remember Peter Serafinovich, wasn't it, who was the voiceover?
Yes.
So he's been in Star Wars, so he was a bit of a star. And that was quite a moment, I think, because we're all a little bit we were all like, oh my goodness, we've got a star here that's doing the voiceover. Will he do it? He was really up for it. And then he used his home recording booth as well. And that was quite, I remember we were all sort of sitting on the call waiting for him to come on, and the agent had warned us that, he could be a little bit sort of erratic. We were like, I really hope he turns up and he's okay. And of course he was a legend, but...
Yeah, professionals are always professional. But yeah, it was nice to get that cherry on top where it's somebody famous. Although he didn't use the Star Wars voice, so nobody would quite recognize it, but it kind of felt like somebody famous was doing it. Yeah. Like it just it had that vibe of confidence in it that, it wasn't just like a random actor doing it. It was somebody meaningful, which again added to that just general level of premiumness.
That was a really good point, actually, because premiumness was a really important part of it, wasn't it? And actually, it was more the quality of it, wasn't it? Because we weren't saying we're exclusive and we're going to charge you lots to invest, because actually that's not the case. But we wanted something that really exuded quality. I guess the Italian kind of heritage, and it was a really important point, but one that's quite hard to get right, isn't it? The right balance.
It is, because you don't want to appear elitist in any shape or form, but equally people will not trust you with your money if you're scruffy or quite sort of unsure about yourself. So you have to have that sort of slightly elevated, trustworthy look. But you don't want to appear like, well, we're only for the wealthy people, so thanks for watching, kind of. But I think we achieved that balance.
What impact did that change in style, because it was quite a change from photography and obviously the treatment that had come from Italy as well, what impact did that have on the business?
Well, I think they bought into the fact that you don't have to be quite as literal about stuff. So if you look at their work now, they are using illustration rather than photography, and they are explaining concepts more in an emotional way, rather than, well, here is a person on a sofa with an iPad opening Moneyfarm. Like, that was the level. So now they're a lot less literal, and I think we opened that for them as a route, not just in the UK but in Italy as well. And that's important, because it could be quite scary that for people who have never done anything non-literal, they'd be like, well, will people understand that we're an app where you can just relax at home and do your investing? Like, but you don't need to literally show it, for people to understand it. And we kind of open that avenue to them, and they're using it effectively right now. But also, because our illustrations were very diverse, if you remember, one of them was an older woman sort of making a vase of some sort, or a sculpture. So it was for the first time for the brand, and in Italy it's even more masculine there. So it was always like father and son, because only men take care of finances. So here we were showcasing, okay, it could be a younger woman, it could be an older woman, it could be an older or a younger man. It doesn't matter. It's just about that state of mind. And their work since then has become a lot more diverse as a result. And I remember all the little fights that I had to have to say, okay, well, actually, this could be your customer. And they'd be like, no, our data is showing this. But I'm like, well, that's a result of your previous campaigns attracting a certain type of audience. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg. And we've proven them wrong, because the percentage of women Moneyfarm investors increased after the campaign. So it just showed, okay, by being inclusive, you actually open up new business opportunities. So it's a no-brainer.
Just thinking more broadly, what drives you crazy about being a marketer, sort of a marketing lead these days? What is it that really frustrates you about the marketing world in general?
I mean, there's still that persistent view that marketers don't know their numbers. And when you create a campaign and you explain these things like emotions, high impact motivators to them, it all sounds a bit fluffy. And they're like, well, it's all a bit nice. Like, well, what does it mean for the bottom line? How do you calculate the data? And I'm like, well, actually, it's all related to data. So let me open a spreadsheet and show you. But they don't actually connect the two. So some of the most heated discussions would be with chief financial officers, sort of CEOs who are more numbers driven, because they don't actually assume something as beautiful, as colourful and as emotive is not just me being me, creative and intuitive and just, it's actually based on data, on studies, on a lot of academic thinking, because like you've mentioned in behavioural science, it's all very data driven. The results could sound simplistic, but it's hard work to make something as difficult as some surveys and all sorts of academic methodologies combined into a simple insight about high impact motivators. They feel it's just like, I just blurted it out. Well, actually, no. And it's taken those teams on a journey saying, okay, creativity, yes, sometimes it is very intuitive, but actually as heads of marketing, it's our job to also drive the bottom line, and we kind of know what we're doing.
Ilona, we cannot thank you enough for today, just for coming in and having that trot down memory lane. It's been lovely to see you, and it's just been a lovely moment to remember the campaign as well.
It has been exciting, and just seeing all the work again and seeing all of you.
Yeah.
We brought all the good memories.
Good to see you. Good times. Thank you so much.